What's up, everybody? Back in action here at the Vanguard at our normal fucking time slot in the afternoon after Galvin and I have had our coffee and not after we've sat in a car for 8 hours. So this is going to be a great show. Shout out to everybody for catching us back to back. Obviously, we were live last night for hours and then, had to finish up some of the stories we couldn't get to today. So appreciate you guys coming back in here, seeing some familiar faces, the hardcore Vanguardians. So shout out to you guys. How you doing today, Gavin?
Doing good. Excited to be back in the studio, back in Kansas City. Let the hate watching begin. LOL. You're all welcome here, all the hate watchers too. It's all good. You're part of our community too. Welcome to the stream, everyone. Got another great show for you guys today. We have a special guest joining us later in the show, so stay tuned for that. Really excited. And we got a lot of good topics. We had a 3-hour long stream last night, and when it was over, we were like, shit, we still have at least another couple hours worth of material left, worth of stories to cover. And even since we were live last night, there's been a lot of news as far as the Liz Cheney election. Sarah Palin won the Republican nomination in Alaska. So we might have Sarah Palin back in American politics. Anyway,
I think we're going to, dude. Sarah Palin is about to make her it'll be her Sarah Sans, if you will, in American politics. And honestly, I think that's just what the GOP needs right now.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. What a wild world we live in. I remember when everyone was talking about her running for president after 2008. That never happened. But anyway, again, thanks everyone for tuning into the show today. It's going to be an awesome program for you guys. Make sure to hit that like button. I don't know what your issue with that word is.
Oh yeah, everybody, come on and tune into this fine program. No, I'm just kidding.
I literally hear that word used all the time in the modern era. Anyway, again, hit that like button, guys. It really helps us with the algorithm. And make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'm sure most of you guys are already subscribed if you're here in the first 3 minutes of our show. But just in case, make sure to hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell so you don't miss our next live stream. Again, sometimes we go live in the evening times and it's not always announced. Anyway, huge shout out to the patron community. If you guys tune in regularly, you'll know that we like to start and end all of our live streams with a big shout out to the patron community. So this is what that is. Huge shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for the support on Patreon. We would not be able to do the show without you guys. And if you're interested in supporting our show, if you like the content we create, and especially want to see more of the documentary kind of material that we're going to be bringing you guys in the near future, hit up that link in the description. It really, really helps out. And as I always say, the show is made possible 100% by our patron community. So thank you guys so much. And with that being said, let's get the show on the road.
Yeah, dude. Do you want to kick it off with a little bit of the Liz Cheney action, just to wait for people to trickle in a little bit before we get into the more juicy elements of this? Just because we were having a really good conversation about this like an hour ago, 2 hours ago maybe, and I think people would be interested. I'd be interested to know chat's feedback as well. Obviously last night Liz Cheney lost her primary. We all kind of assumed that was going to happen. One, she's not really from Wyoming. She kind of, just kind of stumbled into that open election based on name recognition and was able to slide in because obviously people recognize the last name Cheney. It had a, loftier weight in the Republican Party at that time. And so anyway, she loses her seat. And oddly enough, the Democrats love to fucking do this. Every time somebody with a profile loses their seat, they start the whistle about the presidency or who's, oh, you just lost your race, but you have a high name recognition. Oh, do you have ambitions of the Oval Office? So I think that's just indicative of, cultural brain rot, but I think she actually might gear up and run for president anyway. What are your thoughts about that, Gavin?
Yeah, well, it's definitely pretty amusing, obviously, that Liz Cheney lost, even though it's a kind of unfortunate why she lost, being the only Republican willing to call out Trump and his election conspiracies and attempt to subvert democracy and all that stuff. But still, I'm not going to shed a cheer for goddamn Liz Cheney. And yeah, exactly what you were saying, Zach. Now there's these rumors. Is she going to run for president? Let's take a listen here. Liz Cheney talking to NBC News about this very possibility. I'm sure you guys are all super excited about the idea of Liz Cheney 2024. Really just makes you feel patriotic, makes you feel proud to be an American. But yeah, let's take a listen here and then we'll react.
The former president said last night, you're now headed to political oblivion. You said this fight is just beginning. You've even launched a political organization already. So let's just be straight about it. Are you considering running for president yourself?
Well, what I'm going to do, Savannah, is spend the next several months completing my work in Congress, obviously completing my work representing the people of Wyoming. We have a tremendous amount of work left to do on the January 6th committee. And also, though, I'm going to be making sure that people all around this country understand the stakes of what we're facing, understand the extent to which we've now got one major political party, my party, which has really become a cult of personality. And we've got to get this party back to a place where we're embracing the values and the principles on which it was founded, and talking about, fundamental issues of civics, fundamental issues of what does it mean to be a constitutional republic.
But Congresswoman, you didn't answer me yes or no.
It takes to keep Donald Trump. I will be doing whatever it takes to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office.
Well, I know you didn't say yes or no, and that's fine if you're thinking about it. But are you thinking about it? Are you thinking about running for president?
That's a decision that I'm going to make in the coming months, Savannah. I'm not going to make any announcements here this morning, but it is something that I'm thinking about, and I'll make a decision in the coming months.
In the coming months, yeah. So what's funny about this is that Liz Cheney has absolutely no chance of ever becoming president, regardless of what party she would run in. But that's kind of the interesting question here. Which party would she run in? Obviously, if she can't even win re-election in fucking Wyoming, then she's not going to be able to make it through a Republican primary. I think that's pretty obvious. But even in the Democratic Party, which has more and more just aligned itself with, Bush era neocons like her father, I still don't think she would have a, snowball's chance in hell of winning the Democratic Party primary. Let's remember, this woman voted with Donald Trump 82% of the time. 82% of the time. Literally the only difference of opinion, the only thing separating her from Donald Trump is January 6th, is a disagreement about the election conspiracies. That is all that separates her from Donald Trump and all of these other stupid Republican morons. And obviously she's not going to be able to make it through a Democratic primary either, having voted with Trump, I guess, 93% of the time. That's just not going to happen, even if she is the darling of a bunch of MSNBC listening boomers. It's just not going to fucking happen. What you proposed, Zach, earlier today, which was interesting and definitely even more amusing as a third possibility, is that Andrew Yang's able to poach her to run as a forward candidate, because he's been just salivating over her lately, calling her the most honorable politician in America. And that would really basically just cement what we all already know about this forward party project and what a sham it actually is, if that's the kind of candidate they want to field.
Oh, 100%, dude. And that's why he won't make any broad declarations. See, at least this is my theory. This is why he won't say anything bad or about Republicans, or even though he's in the past vocalized many criticisms that he now refuses to articulate about the Republican Party. And, he'll kind of give I guess dog whistle would be the appropriate word to him, disliking the Republican Party, or, one of our political parties has gone off the rails towards out of bounds territory, or whatever fucking thing he'll say. But I think it's because he's trying to leave the door open, because he thinks genuinely, which it's totally not true at all. It's really unsound logic, that somebody like Liz Cheney could come in and provide that third path forward for America, when she has politics that appeal to, at best, 3% of the fucking country, the electorate. And what's also really interesting is the fact that they think that, her, any kind of political establishment thing that she had going on in Wyoming, right, which I just looked up, has a population of 500,000 people, right? A little over that. Kansas City has a population of 490,000. Okay, so the entire state of Wyoming only has about as many people as our mid-level city in Kansas City, which means that her base of people who have, she's actually like has a constituency, which is important, right? If you're going to run for president, you have to know that you can like win a state. Like those people aren't going to be one in the numbers to get her anything more than they're not going to have any like rigid base there. So the idea that she could win a presidential race is completely unfathomable. But I think that as like a clout boosting, like, oh, it's destined to fail, but I'm doing the right thing kind of a maneuver is how they'll try and pitch the forward party. I don't know. I just don't really see her going in the Democratic primary because of the fact that her dad was so intimately responsible for the Iraq war, something that politicians are more and more coming out and saying like, yeah, obviously that was a fucking horrible failure. It was a disaster. We shouldn't be doing that. And I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, obviously she opposed U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. She's a huge warmonger. I mean, look at who her father is. Not that you're responsible for your parents' political beliefs, but she's done nothing but cuddle up to her dad and use him in campaign ads and all that kind of shit. So yeah, I think it would be really amusing if she ran in the forward party. Not that I think it would make her like a fucking viable alternative or whatever. She would get completely embarrassed, just like she did in this election.
Yeah, speaking of getting completely embarrassed, did you know that she lost every single county in Wyoming but 2 of them? Every single county in Wyoming but 2 of them. Like, do you know how high the incumbency re-election bias is in this country? Over 90% of congressional incumbents get reelected. It's like impossible to lose as a fucking incumbent. Not impossible, but it's damn hard. You have to fuck up massively. So I think that proves just how unpopular she is among the Republicans. And it also proves the fact that this is still, without a doubt, the party of Donald Trump. You have to show absolute fealty, absolute loyalty to Donald Trump if you want even a prayer of having success in the Republican Party. And clearly, even though she voted with the guy 93% of the time, it wasn't enough. They dumped Liz Cheney, which again is pretty fucking funny. I'm not going to shed a tear for goddamn Liz Cheney. And as Brian points out here, thank you so much for the super chat, Brian. Cheney opposed U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. Yeah, she's a neoconservative Republican. That's all she is. And it is hilarious to see anyone on the left or in the Democratic Party glorifying her or pretending she's anything other than a Bush era neocon as far as her perspective in politics goes. So yeah, you're 100% right, Brian. Thanks for the super chat. And thank you also AVB for the $10. Hey, new listener here and politically homeless ex-conservative. I appreciate you advocating that L&R can come together on many topics and shouldn't dismiss one another. Great live yesterday. Well, thank you so much, AVB. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're enjoying the content so far. And yeah, we're super proud to have an ideologically diverse audience. I mean, obviously, much of our audience is on the left, but we have a lot of independent-minded thinkers as well, and we're really proud of that. So again, welcome to the channel. Probably not always going to agree on everything. That goes for everyone that listens to the Vanguard. We're not afraid to, speak our mind, even if we know it's going to be an unpopular opinion. But again, welcome to the channel. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. And congratulations on being an ex-conservative.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Welcome to the show. Obviously, Gavin and I are ardent leftists. We're shitbad commies, but if you vibe with us, you're always welcome in the fucking community. And we don't fucking have any rules that you have to fucking agree with us and this, tell us, talk shit in the chat. As long as you're making substantive points and not spamming anything, you're allowed to disagree with us as much as you want in there. So yeah, we like that heterodox approach to commentary. It keeps Gavin and I on our toes. If we can read the chat and hear some substantive pushback, that's all for the betterment of everybody that listens as well. And before we get off the Liz Cheney thing, really quickly, I want to add that that in my opinion, the most likely outcome is that she teases this presidential run, but then somehow ends up on MSNBC or on some sort of news show where she just kind of gets to espouse how crazy the Republicans have gotten and how we need to have more civility and kind of do the whole like Morning Joe rebrand or whatever.
Absolutely. And thanks for tuning in, John. That's pretty funny. And also make sure everyone to hit that like button in case you haven't already. Really helps us with the algorithm, get some more eyes on the stream. Again, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. Really helps out. But yeah, let's move on to another story. I guess we should just dive right in and talk a little bit about Nina Turner. It does appear that Nina Turner, who's been a TYT affiliate for a while now, it does seem that she's actually officially joined the network full time and has got her own show as well. Let me pull this up. Here's a tweet from TYT. Join Nina Turner on her new daily live show, Unbossed, starting October 17th on TYT. She'll expose the corrupt forces that keep the power from the people and talk about what we can do to fix the corruption. Let's take a listen here to Cenk's announcement, and we can react to Nina Turner's new gig.
All right, we have an announcement, an exciting announcement for you guys. There you go. Okay, Washington, buckle up, brace for impact. Here comes new TYT host, Nina Turner, off the top rope. I love the name of her show, Unbossed. Unbossed with Nina Turner, I love it. So she's gonna hold people accountable, like the rest of us. Doesn't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, we're gonna hold you accountable no matter what. And it doesn't matter how much corporate media cries. The whole point of the show is she is unbossed. If you don't like it, that's a sad day for you. But guess what? Tons and tons of Americans love it. So Powerhouse coming here to do a daily show. So here's what you gotta do, guys. By the way, of course, it's gonna be on right after Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie, and it's gonna be on at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Okay, so check it out then. Go to tyt.com/unbossedTYT. That is the main place to go, tyt.com/unbossedTYT. You can subscribe to the channel on YouTube, follow it on Facebook, subscribe to it on Twitch, but you're gonna get the instructions there. So it's super easy for you guys. Make sure you're sharing the news on social media. Unbossed starts on October 17th. So we're getting the show ready now to launch then. And you could watch it on tyt.com/live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And you could listen to it as a podcast on Apple Podcasts and everywhere you get your podcasts. So let's show our power here. Let's make sure that she gets off to a great start. Everybody subscribe and follow right now. Would love to have one of the strongest progressives in the whole country here at the TYT Network. She's gonna be an amazing new host. And as always, brought to you by our members. Ask and ye shall receive.
Yeah. So yeah, we don't need to hear Cenk keep shilling for his membership program or whatever. But I mean, again, I don't want to. I have a little bit of mixed feelings about this. But I will say there was a point where I agreed that she was one of the strongest progressives in the country. Not even 2 or 3 years ago, I totally agreed with that. And that's why it's honestly just a little bit, I guess, depressing would be the right word. And again, I'm trying to be nice about this. But given the ambitions that Nina Turner clearly had, and given what a powerhouse she represented at one point, it is a little bit depressing to see her just have to join the TYT network as a commentator. And as Stephen Michael Davis pointed out here on Twitter, TYT is becoming the home of failed congressional candidates with Cenk Uygur, Michael Shore, now Nina Turner. I saw someone joking in our chat that it's only a matter of time before Nomiki Konst gets her own show on TYT. So again, I mean, Nina Turner seems like a perfectly nice lady. I have no personal beef with her. I think there's very valid criticisms to be made of her, and we made many valid criticisms of her congressional campaign and her strategy and all that. But at the same time, the reason I have a little bit mixed feelings about this is because some people are out here going really hard and just, really attacking Nina Turner, saying, oh, now Jeffrey Katzenberg is going to be paying your rent, and like you're taking money from Jeffrey Katzenberg and all this stuff. And I just don't agree with that criticism, because you wouldn't say that about Brianna Joy Gray working for The Hill. You wouldn't say that about Oliemi working for The Hill or Ryan Grimm working for The Hill. That's also a freaking, that's a billionaire owned media company. I think a Trump donor is literally the guy that started it. Again, if you work anywhere in mainstream media of any sort, you're going to be involved with some like shady money and stuff like that. So again, in the same way we don't judge someone like Brianna Joy Gray or Katie Halper for taking a job at The Hill, I don't think that you can judge Nina Turner for taking a job at TYT despite its funding issues. But again, I just feel a little bit disappointed about all this, given what Nina Turner clearly wanted to do and what I thought she was capable of doing a long time ago. Or not even that long ago, honestly, just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, oh gosh, there's so much to unpack here, because you're right. There are people that are going way too far with this, right? It's kind of like that inverted argument where we're constantly like, everybody take a chill pill, when they're like, oh, well, Glenn's on Rumble and that's owned by Peter Thiel. And it's like, okay, yeah, like, Glenn and Jimmy and, some other people are on Rumble and that's owned by Peter Thiel. Fucking Facebook is owned by fucking Peter Thiel. How many times does TYT post shit about, on Facebook. And, you know, it's just, you could make those criticisms about anybody that's like working and employed and all those kinds of things. And while Gavin and I have our own model of saying, hey, we're not interested in any of that shit, we're just going to do our show and make it 100% viewer funded. You know, you can't control like where your show is. I don't know. So I get the criticism. I wouldn't make that choice myself, but there are a lot of people who have made the choice that Nina Turner has. You know, Kim Iverson was paid by the Hill, right? All these people. So 100%, you can't really dog her for that. Also, I imagine fucking most of that Katzenberg money is gone, pissed away at this point. $20 million with Jink's fucking ambitions. I don't know how much of that's still around to be, you know, fucking involved in people's checks. And it's paid a lot of people's bills. It's, you know, paid Jimmy's checks when he was there. He wasn't quite principally opposed to it at that time. You know what I'm saying? So, but the downside to this is, Gavin, you used the word depressing. I'm going to use the E word, embarrassing. I think it's an embarrassing fucking move for people to have these massive political ambitions and then just regress to being talking heads again. Like, no. I'm not ever going to run for Congress, right? I'm not here telling people that I'm like the fucking change maker they need. I'm not the one that's telling people that I'm leading a revolution to build my fucking name and then just sitting back and being like, oh, I guess I'll just tell the play-by-play of what's going down. It just feels cheap to me. Right? You build this whole platform, you know, telling about how like you're going to run for change and you're going to be a change maker for the people. And then you lose and you're like, actually, you know what? I'm just going to talk about it. It's like, I don't know. It just feels like a massive regression when people go from being like, oh, I'm going to run for office, I'm going to be a politician. It just feels like the diet left version of like people who run for president to sell books. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, obviously I knew that like Tom Steyer wasn't ever going to be fucking president, but he definitely now people know who he is way more, right? You know, John Hickenlooper.
I mean, do you not think Nina Turner's campaigns for Congress were like, do you not think she was trying to win? Do you think she was just trying to up her name recognition?
No, that's not quite what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's going to give that appearance now. It's like, oh, yeah, you ran for Congress and then, you know, that didn't work out. And now you're just leveraging that into like a media career, you know, exactly what Andrew Yang did, right? He got fucking picked up by wherever, ABC and CNN, wherever the fuck it was that was having him on as a contributor right after his campaign ended. I'm just saying that gives bad optics to the left, that this idea is that we're just like all the other fucking people that are just doing this. You don't think it's a bad look to just be like, oh, fuck running for Congress again. Actually, I'm just going to sit here in this studio.
I think it would be even more embarrassing if she tried to run for Congress again and got an even smaller percentage of the vote.
Yeah, I'm not saying she has to run again, but I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like going in and taking a media job right after you've like made all of this, you know, clout for yourself, being an actual political act. I don't know. Not that you can't do whatever the fuck you want. I get, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why I said it was a little bit depressing because I mean, I don't think this is what Nina Turner really wants to be doing. I think she wants to be a congresswoman or whatever. Clearly, that's why she ran twice. And now it's just kind of depressing to see her have to settle for this to pay the bills, I guess. But that's why I have a little bit of mixed feelings about it, because I wouldn't sit here and chastise Katie Halper for taking a job at the Hill to pay the bills, or fucking Brianna Joy Gray taking a job at the Hill to pay the bills. So, you know, it's kind of hard to sit here and cast judgment at Nina Turner, who, you know, clearly gave it her best shot and failed miserably. But, you know, now here she is having to settle for a commentator gig on TYT. And again, you know, Nina Turner did such a great job being a spokesperson for Bernie Sanders, a surrogate for Bernie Sanders. And again, not that I have any personal beef or grudge or anything, but to be completely honest, her commentary, you know, when she has done segments on TYT, it's just not as good. You know, like I'm not going to be watching Unbossed with Nina Turner. Unfortunately, I just don't find her commentary as compelling as her surrogacy for Bernie was. Again, that's just the harsh reality. Hopefully she, you know, does okay and spreads the progressive message. I want to give her the benefit of the doubt. Again, despite the many criticisms we've lobbed her way over the course of her campaigns. But yeah, overall, I just think it's a little bit sad, given what a powerhouse I viewed her as at one point. But again, I also have a little bit mixed feelings because a lot of people, I think, are being a little bit unfair when they wouldn't apply that same standard to other commentators that, again, are working for outlets which are taking even more corporate money or are funded by even sketchier means.
Yeah, I do think that it's a little ironic also to name your show Unbossed, as you have just gotten a boss for the first time. It's like, who was your boss when you were running for Congress? You. Now it's fucking Cenk Uygur and you're unbossed now. It's like, we know you can't say shit that Cenk doesn't like on the TYT network. We know you have a boss. Like, you think she's going to be able to come out here and massively disagree with Cenk on his fucking network? Like, he just has never allowed that. And I mean, like, pushback and I mean, like, you don't think that Nina Turner is going to come out and support, you know, the People's Party or whatever and speak at the People's Party, not the current iteration of it, but the next one at TYT again, I feel like there's going to be some, I just feel like there's going to be some muting there, right? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But I just feel like traditionally there's on the big issues, there's a fucking, through line at TYT. And while him and Anna might disagree on whether or not it's appropriate to make fun of Americans dressed as hillbillies, they're usually fucking in lockstep when it comes to major issues that the channel's covering.
Yeah, but Nina Turner's already in lockstep with them on those issues. I mean, it's not like she's really had a significant amount of disagreements with their philosophy in the past. And
that's why I brought up the People's Party.
Right. Well, I mean, if there was a new political third party that was a leftist third party and had nothing to do with Jimmy Dore, yeah, I don't think that would stop her from endorsing them or getting involved if that's what she felt like she wanted to do. I don't necessarily think that would present much of a conflict of interest. And, some of my, back in the day, especially, I really liked when Cenk would argue a lot with like Jimmy Dore, for example, back when Jimmy Dore was on TYT. They would have intense, passionate arguments. It was really engaging, fun to watch. So, who knows? We'll have to see. I don't know how much Nina Turner will even be interacting with Cenk on TYT. I don't know if she'll be on the panel like at night or if she's just going to do her own show, kind of like how John Iadarola has the damage report. Then they'll be unbossed with Nina Turner. So we'll have to see all that shakes out. Again, I feel a little bit mixed about this. Again, you can't really fault someone for taking a fucking job to pay the bills if that's what they got to do as a commentator. Again, I just think it's a little bit sad, but I guess that's what there is to say about that.
Yeah, look, I'm not trying to come down too hard on her, but I just think that I just don't think it's, I don't know. I don't think it's a good look. I don't think it, and people are like, oh, what the fuck? Why is it not a bad look to do what you do for a living? Because I'm not Nina Turner. I have none of the abilities that this woman has. I'm just a regular fucking, like, I'm not shaming anybody for being a commentator. I'm just like, fuck, man. Like, you're not going to be leading a revolution from, TYT network. I don't know. That's just the gut reaction that I have. But of course, you're right. You can't fucking blame somebody for doing a job. If she has to pay the bills, she has to pay the fucking bills. I don't know. It just seems like a fucking, I don't know. It just seems like a bummer. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said. It is a little bit depressing. But we'll see what happens. We'll see. Maybe some good content comes out of Unbossed with Nina Turner. Who knows? It is funny too. She said, who should be the first guest? Tag him. How about Jimmy Dore? Hash out the beef. You guys were just fighting on Twitter. Come on. First episode, Nina Turner versus Jimmy Dore, hashing out the beef. The people want to see it. Come on, Nina Turner.
Yeah, I guess we do have a couple of super chats that we can get to really quickly to move on. I saw a couple in here. I think it might be UC JD with Max Blumenthal call out Graham Elwood on his Monday live stream over vaccines. They need to squash whatever beef they may have. No, I didn't see that, but I'm not surprised. Max Blumenthal was really deep in the vaccine skepticism community, and Graham Elwood was really principally pro COVID vaccines.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to check that out. I know those two dudes hate each other though, especially after Graham Elwood said that Max Blumenthal was a terrible comedian on the Jimmy Dore show when they debated. He was like, Max needs to stay in his lane. He's like, you're not funny at all, motherfucker, which is kind of true. But anyway, thank you, Zachary, for the $4.99. I'll definitely have to check that clip out. Thanks for letting us know about that. And thank you, Addy, the bug catcher. Really appreciate that. $10, Addy. It's so sad. I want to get excited about Nina Turner getting her own show, and I'm trying, but I can't. Yeah, like I said, nothing against her personally, but from what I've seen thus far from her work at TYT, unfortunately, her commentary, like her just ability to do commentary as a news host is not quite up to snuff, at least when you compare it to the work she did being a surrogate for Bernie Sanders. I thought she was excellent in that role. She was by far one of the most passionate and inspiring speakers on Team Bernie. Zach and I always tell the story of when we saw her speak at Cedar Rapids, Iowa, just a day before the Iowa caucus, giving a barn burning speech, just an absolute powerhouse. So yeah, it's definitely It's definitely a little bit upsetting how far she's seemingly fallen. But yeah, thanks for the super chat, Eddie.
Yeah, I'm at one point, I think Gavin and I would have both been like, stoked about this. I can't get over all of my like mixed feelings about it. So yeah, and also the fact that I probably won't watch this at all, except for the fact that I might react to a couple clips here and there for our show if she has something controversial or really based. Like, I hope that she has based moments. I don't think that she will, and I don't know. Yeah, I feel like kind of a dick, but.
No, don't feel like a dick. I mean, like I said, this is nothing personal. I'm sure Nina Turner's a lovely lady. I'm sure it'd be great to get a coffee with her and talk about the progressive movement or whatever. I mean, it's not a personal issue. We're doing our jobs, which is to give our opinion about other people in left independent media. And if you get offended, then don't fucking watch the Vanguard. That would be my advice. But, I was joking about her inviting on Jimmy Dore, given the fact that they were just feuding on Twitter. And obviously that was a joke, but my one piece of advice for Nina Turner, if she happens to be listening and if she happens to give a single fuck about what I have to say, my one piece of advice for Nina Turner with her new show is to not make it an echo chamber. The biggest problem with TYT today is that it's a fucking echo chamber. Everyone on there has the same milquetoast opinions and takes. There's very little interesting debate and discussion. They don't really allow on anyone like to the left of Cenk Uygur or Anna Kasparian these days. All the people that are invited on to do like, guest hosting or just as guests on the show, it's never anyone that I find all that fascinating these days. Like, I really enjoyed watching the Cenk Uygur debate with Brianna Joy Gray, because for the first time in fucking years on TYT, it was actually a passionate and lively disagreement, a discussion, a real beef hashing out. That was, entertaining programming. I really hope that Nina Turner has on some people that will push back on the TYT line of logic, the TYT philosophy, and yeah, get in some debates. Have some intellectual diversity on your show. Invite on interesting and unorthodox guests. Invite on controversial people. That would be the only thing that would make this genuinely interesting to me. If I can actually watch Nina Turner kind of break out of her bubble, her safe space and talk with some people that have differing opinions and that want to push back on the way she views this stuff, that would actually be a little bit more interesting. But again, I already know what Nina Turner thinks. I already know what Cenk Uygur thinks and Anna Kasparian thinks. And without that element added, I can't help but think this is going to be a little bit of a snooze.
Well, yeah, but that's exactly what I was saying about how she's not going to break out of that role because Cenk won't allow it. That's why nobody else has any heterodox views. They'll get rid of you if you do. Like, Cenk will not tolerate people who are to the left of him, just like you said. So that's the whole idea. It's like, why go here? Why not start your own show? Why not be unbossed, Nina Turner, and do this if you think it's going to be important, right? That's what fucking grinds my gears about this. It's like, okay, maybe you have a family that you have to support, and I don't know about it, but I think you could fucking make at least what we make it, more than that, doing a show on your own, right? So I don't know what her circumstances are, but I feel like if you want to come out here and LARP as being unbossed, but we all know that you're going to have, your boss is Cenk, and Cenk has a very specific, what you want to be polite and call it, a vision for TYT. He does, no, Aaron Matte's not coming on here. Jimmy Dore's not coming on here. Glenn's not coming on here. Oh, they're all bad faith actors. Anybody that doesn't agree with me, they're all fucking Republicans, So I think she's going to fall into that fucking framework. She's going to just go down the line and have on the, fucking TYT style guests that they always have on. And that's just, again, it's a tremendous waste of her talents.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll have to see what happens. I fear the same thing. Hopefully, like I said, she makes an effort to make her show not just another part of the TYT echo chamber, because again, that's really the worst part about TYT. It's why I far prefer watching a show like Breaking Points, for example, these days, is because it's not just like the same fucking opinion over and over again. They actually mix it up. There's unorthodox ideas presented. It's more of an interesting dynamic, in my opinion.
It's like being fed by a bird watching this shit. It's like they chew it up and then they spit it in your fucking mouth so you can swallow exactly what the fuck they want you to.
That's one way to put it. Thank you, Orca, also for the 279. The Hill doesn't LARP as independent media, though. I mean, that's fair. That is fair to point out. I just don't want to, hold Nina Turner to a different standard than we're holding Brianna Joy Gray or Katie Halper or Ryan Grimm or Kim Iverson, any of these people that also work for The Hill. Like, I just don't want to hold her to an unfair standard. When again, The Hill is literally run by a Trump donating billionaire. It's even sketchier as far as its funding goes than TYT, and we've been extremely critical of TYT and its funding. You guys know that. But again, I just don't want to be unfair. I don't want to hold people to unfair standards because, it gets a lot of clicks to shit on TYT or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. And while they don't 100% LARP as independent media, I think they definitely have taken a lot of cues in how they present themselves from independent media, and they try desperately to look like one of us. So
yeah, I would say it's very fair to say they LARP as independent media. They absolutely present themselves as such. But yeah, thank you so much, Orca. Really appreciate that. And thank you, Brian, for the $4.99. Tina recently praised Obama's presidency on Twitter. What a sad capitulation to the Democratic establishment. Brian, are you talking about when she like wished him happy birthday? Because I saw she tweeted like "Happy birthday, President Obama." And yeah, I'm like, bro, you don't got to say happy birthday to fucking war criminals, dog. Like. I always hate that shit when you see a progressive commenting on like Kamala Harris's tweet or like Joe Biden's tweet. It's like happy birthday or like good for you. I'm like, bro, we don't have to fucking play patty cake with war criminals.
I know it was like people were like, oh, well, when Trump got in the hospital, they all started saying like, get well soon. And, oh, we wish you a speedy recovery and all that shit. I'm like, I don't. I hope he fucking dies. Like, I don't fucking care about this man. He's a fucking enemy to my ambitions in this world. And he has had no problem killing anybody that stands in his way. What the fuck do I care if my hands are clean and I'm just like crossing my fingers? You know what I'm saying? Like, no, like you don't have to pretend that you care about these fucking bullshit people. They don't care about anybody but themselves. Obama might be the biggest, like, I mean, in a different way, of course. But Obama's just as big of a narcissist as Trump. Okay, the man's written like 4,000-page books about himself, and he, you know what I mean? Like, anyway, he doesn't need your fucking happy birthday wish.
Also, he might be CIA, something we've been discussing lately. But anyway, thank you, Brian. Really appreciate that, and thank you, Das Bosa Fleisch. Thank you so much for the $1.99. I missed Kyle's Tom Steyer. Yeah, yeah. Tom Steyer was a funny motherfucker. That guy was a funny candidate. I miss him too.
Yeah, shout out to you, Dotsbos Fleisch. The entire time that we were chatting with the governor, I couldn't help but keep saying in my head, meeting the governor in the Dotsbos Fleisch, just like in the flesh or whatever. But anyway, shout out to you. You've now implemented your name firmly in my brain forever.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Dotsbos. We always appreciate seeing you in chat. And thank you once again, Addie, for the $2. Why wouldn't you name her show Hello Somebody? Honestly, yeah, that might have been an even better name. That would have been probably a little bit better.
That's a way better name. Yeah, and it also doesn't have the irony of in the named hypocrisy of being like unbossed as soon as you have a boss. I can't get over that. You can call your show that if you're independent, but not if you have a boss.
Fair enough. Anyway, thank you so much, Addie. Really appreciate the $2, and thank you for the $5, Nadungo. I am going to humbly disagree. Everyone has to pay the bills. It isn't Chad. She lives to fight another day. I'm going to humbly. I mean, that's kind of what I was saying. Like, if someone's working for Walmart, if you fucking grandma works at Walmart or your fucking husband works at Walmart or something, you're not going to say, I can't believe you're taking money from the Walton family. That's so fucked up. You're so corrupt now. Like, I don't know.
No, of course not. But I also don't like the regular fucking people don't have an opportunity to fucking go out and say, oh, I'm going to be legitimately unbossed. I'm going to start a media fucking presence for myself where I can say whatever it is I believe, and I'm going to do it legitimately unbossed. So that's my only criticism. It's like Nina Turner has the platform where if she wanted to, she could just go out there and try and do this on her own. But anyway, it's yes, I hear your point. It's like she's a regular fucking person. She has to pay the bills. She didn't take a bunch of fucking corporate money to, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, and still at the end of the day, like with all our beef with Nina Turner and all the criticisms we have, like obviously we still are more in alignment with her policies and her vision than literally 99.5% of the entire political commentariat. So like we do have to keep it in perspective, even when we're being critical. I think that's important. And some people are just needlessly unfair and needlessly mean, I think. So, you know, we try not to feed into that too much. But again, it's also nothing personal. We're not taking shots at anyone's character. It's all just a matter of our opinion. And I'm sure she's a perfectly nice lady.
Oh, I'm sure she's a phenomenal person. And honestly, I'm bummed out about that because Gavin and I have been moved so many times. Once we talked about it in person when we got to see her speak. So it's like, you know, I have a fucking image of like, you know, what this woman is capable of, like a way that she's able to make people feel empowered and all that shit. And I just don't think she's going to do that at TYT. So that just sticks out in the fucking, you know, like a rock in my shoe, like fuck. But anyway, yeah, I appreciate the fact that you're, you know, comfortable enough to disagree with us. And we really appreciate the $5 and welcome you to our community.
Yeah, thanks so much for the $5. And again, I mean, maybe it's possible she'll continue doing activism. It's not like being a commentator means you can't do activism too. Like, it's not like now she will just never do anything again. Like, I'm sure she has ambitions and plans and she wants to keep being a part of the political movement. We'll see. we'll give credit where it's due. We don't want to be unfair. But yeah, thank you so much for the $5. Thank you also, Boeing, once again. Good to see you in the chat. Boeing 757 pilot, $10. Yes, she'll devolve into talking about right wingers and edgy democratic issues. Her job interview probably included her promising to scream "fuck Jimmy" 5 times daily. Good job, guys. Yeah, I mean, obviously she has every right to talk about right wingers. Right wingers are doing a lot of horrible shit, and obviously as a left wing channel, TYT, they're going to spend a lot of time covering the right wing. So I don't think that's really a big surprise. And like I said, I would find it a lot more interesting if she actually brought on people, not necessarily Jimmy Dore, but brought on people that were critical of her and had a different understanding, a different perspective, and debated a little bit. It would be a lot more interesting to watch her interact with other people that are outside of her echo chamber.
Well, that's the thing, Gavin. Here at TYT, the real left is inside our echo chamber, man. Everybody else is these fake right wingers. Why would I want to promote those people to my audience? That's the feedback she's gonna get. I guarantee. I will eat my fucking words if we see an interesting interview on her show. But I guarantee you, she's not gonna have these heterodox people. You're not gonna see her debating Aaron Mate on that fucking program.
We can only hope, right? Anyway, thank you so much, Boeing. Really appreciate the $10. And do you want to move on now to the Kyle versus Vaush segment, Zach?
Yeah, really excited about this because, obviously we've recently had our own debate with Vaush over, some foreign policy things. And so this will be another good way to round that out because I think Vaush gets a number of things wrong in this video, and I want to point them out to you guys. And so does Gavin.
Yeah, so as you guys probably know, Kyle has been on Vaush's live stream twice, both times after being criticized by Vaush. And it seems like Vaush is now trying to drum up some more drama in order to provoke Kyle Kulinski into responding potentially, or maybe just for the clicks of, putting his name in the headline and calling him out, etc. But I did see this and I was interested in reacting to it because, to be honest, out of all of Vaush's attacks on Kyle, this one might be the most disingenuous. And I wouldn't even call it an attack necessarily, but just a criticism. I find everything about this, from the framing to the delivery of it, I just find it to be very, very disingenuous and not an honest criticism of Kyle Kulinski, who, again, obviously is not above criticism. We've criticized Kyle Kulinski before on our show, but this ain't it, bro.
Yep, let's let it play because I've got a lot to say about its bullshit.
I'd like it if we could avoid fostering any antagonism against the Kulinski report. U.S. arming extremists in Ukraine.
All right, guys. So CBS News released an investigative report on where the weapons are going in Ukraine.
Oh no! Didn't we see this? Wasn't this just one company had loss, breakage in the stuff they were bringing to the front lines, and that it improved over since the war began, but it was just one company? It wasn't even the whole.
So, having said that, let's look at this investigative report from CBS News on where the weapons are going.
In the past 2 months, we've moved weapons and equipment to Ukraine at record speed: drones, grenade launchers, machine guns.
We're seeing this incredible historic flow of weapons coming into Ukraine. Do we have any sense as to where they're going?
We don't know. There is really no information as to where they're going at all.
All this stuff goes across the border, and then kind of something happens, it kind of 30% maybe reaches its final destination.
Wasn't this from one company? This wasn't who these people are representatives from the one company, right? This wasn't an assessment of the entire operational, the logistics of all arms being moved across Ukraine, right?
30% reaches its final destination. So 30% goes to where it's intended to go.
So the 30% number they pulled on the CBS article was literally just this guy spitballing a number in the passenger seat of the car. Or wait, driver's seat. It's Europe. Wait, passenger seat? I don't know in Ukraine which side they drive on. They
drive on the right.
For the mount in that respect. But again, by the time we got to package 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I was like.
Also, Kyle's reacting to this essentially a little teaser trailer for this larger documentary that I believe CBS News reported on and put together, which, by the way, is a very pro-America, military industrial complex. It's not like we're talking about the fucking gray zone here, guys. We're literally talking about CBS News. And we'll keep watching this video in a second. But as you see there, Vaush said, oh, well, that's just some random guy. They're just interviewing some random dude off the side of the street. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. This is who they're talking about. Jonas Oman, the founder and CEO of Blue Yellow, a Lithuania-based organization that has been meeting with and supplying frontline units with non-lethal military aid in Ukraine since the start of the conflict with Russia-backed separatists in 2014. Back in April, he estimated that just 30 to 40% of the supplies coming across the border reached its final destination. And if you think about just how many, billions of dollars worth of weapons we're sending over there, lethal aid, 30 to 40%, even just 10% would be a massive, massive amount of weapons. 30 to 40% is a shit ton. And again, this is not just some random guy. This is someone that clearly knows what they're talking about. And it says, the situation has significantly improved since then, and a much larger quantity now gets to where it's supposed to go. So in the actual report, they even admit that, yeah, it's significantly improved and more going where they want to go. But to act like this isn't a legitimate thing to talk about, to act like, you can't even react to this question or discuss this issue is absolutely ridiculous, because this is a huge problem with the arms trade, not just when it comes to Ukraine and Russia, but in literally any situation. One of the biggest problems with the arms trade is how many of these guns, how many of these weapons end up in the black market. In the hands of people that should not have them. And again, to act like that's illegitimate to talk about is absolutely ridiculous, because it's just another, one of the consequences of our militaristic involvement in other countries. It's one of the consequences that most people don't talk about, which is why it's actually pretty commendable that CBS News, of all places, reported on it at all. I'm shocked that they did.
Yeah, 100%, right? This is actually fits. This is like one of those fringe stories, so that they can say that they challenge power, right? But it's beneficial when they do come through. And the only thing I wanted to add, because you did a really good job summarizing that, Gavin, is the fact that I just want to say, no fucking shit. Only 30% of them are getting to where they want to go. That is the whole point, Vaush. That is the whole point. Do you think that we're sending those weapons over there? I mean, think critically for a second for me. If you're listening to this, you might. Do you think that we actually care because the United States is somehow self-righteous and good and ethical, that we actually care about the suffering of anybody, let alone these, poor Ukrainians who are undoubtedly living under devastating conditions right now because of the fucking ruthlessness of the Russian government? Like, yeah, those things can all be true. But the reason we're involved there is to print money for the weapons manufacturers. That's why we're there. That's why they start salivating. Read their fucking internal emails about why we're there, and it will become clear as day. Do you know why it's beneficial for them if only a third or 40% of those weapons make it to the destination? Then they have to buy a fuck ton more. Yeah, so you get only a third of the ones you ordered, and you have to order 3 times as many to make what you need. This is basic mathematics, okay? So that's why they're doing it, to enrich themselves, to essentially triple their profit, at least. This is 30%. And sure, you could point out, and maybe this one guy's a crackpot, but this is consistent entirely, which he's not. We already fucking shredded that. I'm just saying it counterfactually. That's the whole point. This is why they do that shit, to make money, and they benefit from the fewer amount of weapons that arrive there. This is common sense. We know this about war.
Absolutely. And again, I really just hate Vaush's framing specifically here, because it's like we can't even question the arms trade. We can't even question our involvement in military conflicts around the globe. To even discuss the possibility of these arms falling into the wrong hands, he's portraying it as it's like doing Russian propaganda or something. To even question where these arms are going, well, I can't believe you're simping for Putin. It's like, bro, this is a very legitimate area of discussion. Once again, I'm going to throw this article up on screen, which CBS wrote as an accompanying piece to the documentary that Kyle's watching the trailer for. Every country and every situation is very different, but certainly if I look back, Iraq is another country where there have been cyclical deliveries. We saw lots of weapons come in 2003 with the US-led invasion of Iraq, and then 2014 happened when ISIS took over large parts of the country and took over large stocks of weapons that had been meant for Iraqi forces. So oops, we accidentally armed fucking ISIS. Which we did dozens of times. which we did dozens of times. And that's what we were supposed to be fucking fighting, at least in part, in the Middle East. So given our history, literally within the 21st century, given the history of these arms falling into the wrong hands of literal terrorist organizations, is it not even fair to discuss this possibility happening now that we're funneling billions and billions of dollars of lethal aid into a proxy war? And again, we're not pro-Putin lefties, not at all. But we have to be able to discuss this stuff. We have to be able to discuss the ramifications of our involvement in foreign wars, in our arming of foreign countries. This stuff is very, very much legitimate to talk about, even if you agree with our role in this proxy war, which I don't. But even if you, like Vaush, agree that we should be sending these arms, then I think that it's still very, very legitimate and valid to have this discussion about a percentage of them ending up in the wrong hands. Again, when the military and defense contractors sell these weapons, like you said, Zach, they're just doing it to enrich themselves. They don't care where they end up. They don't care whose hands they fall into. They don't care how many civilians are going to be massacred by these weapons. All they care about is making money. And that's why it actually is important for journalists and reporters. And again, I'm shocked it was CBS in this case, to track this stuff and to report on it.
Yep.
You don't care if that happens?
Do you commit?
That the extremist factions in Ukraine won't just coup Zelensky and take over power because they don't like the terms of the deal. And that could in part be because we arm them to the teeth. Seems like a problem.
30%? Are you concerned about weapons getting in the wrong hands?
I don't care at all whether that happens.
What sort of a unit?
Okay, wait, pause it for 1 second. That was exactly what I was saying. They don't care what happens because they legitimately want it to not get in the right hands. So the actual people in the government have to order more weapons. The guy just said it right fucking there.
Can't say. Okay.
What kind of a unit you command? I can't say. Gee, I wonder why they can't say.
Wait, what is any of this confirmed? Are these so much military equipment has made its way into Ukraine? I feel like in order to get an assessment of where it's gone, you would need like a big governmental assessment. Like it would need to be a big thing.
It would have to come from the government.
Some guy in a car being like, yeah, dude, like 5 guns made it to the front line. Can't tell you where they've gone. Like that.
So yeah, this is just totally disingenuous. It doesn't really get any better. Vaush just kind of keeps rambling on.
There's a few more.
Just talking real quick. Yeah, I just hate the way he's framing this, particularly where it's like you can't even talk about this without somehow feeding into Russian propaganda. It's ridiculous to say that these things aren't up for discussion. It's ridiculous to say that reacting to a little teaser clip of a documentary that you're not even familiar with the content of, because that's the other thing here. Vaush is clearly not familiar with the report that is in reference here. He's not familiar with the report that I've been reading off of on screen or the entirety of this documentary, the teaser of which Kyle is reacting to. So I just think it's crazy how much ignorance he's coming into the situation with. And you can tell that he's kind of just working backwards from his conclusion, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's 100% what he's doing. And the reason I just want to play a little bit more of this is while he's dogging Kyle for not being certain about all of the information that's playing, he's about to factually state some inaccuracies really quick. So I just want to fire him off and roast him for them really quickly.
I wonder why they can't say.
They're like power lords,
we can
oligarchs, political players.
Oh, I wouldn't want these guns to fall into the hands of the power lords or political, like dragons person. Be one of the people in potentially with control over how it would be distributed. Like, what are we talking about? I don't know.
Lords, oligarchs, political players.
One of the biggest targets are convoys like this transporting weapons.
Потом в возле мы ехали, только чтобы ебались туда, прямо в вход. За деревьями. Вот там Орлан идет.
Oh, no, we don't have to get to the rest of it. The point I was going to get to, and I don't know where exactly it happens, but he goes on to say that this is like the bloodiest battle on European soil since World War II. And then he takes the whole conversation back to World War II because of that. And I just thought that was completely hysterical because while he's trying to dog Kyle for having any potential factual inaccuracies in his reporting, he goes out and fucking sells a fucking whopper of a lie to his audience that Ukraine's the deadliest fucking or whatever biggest war on European soil since World War II, clearly showing again the only part of history that Vaush has ever paid attention to is World War II, because he had absolutely nothing to say about the Yugoslavian War, which obviously Chris Hedges covered in depth. And if you read his writing on that, you will know that just terrible amount of bloodshed, but because of its location in the Baltics, many people didn't, they consider it like straight up racism, like dirty part of Europe. Like there's always been that like sentiment among Europeans that like people from the Baltics and the Balkans were, where the Croatia area, Bosnia, Serbia,
the Eastern European area. Yeah.
That they were like, savages. So this was very much rooted in racism for why the rest of Europe did not pay attention to this war. But it had over 10 times the casualties that we've seen in Ukraine. The most recent numbers in the Russian-Ukraine war is about 14,000 deaths. 140,000 people, died during the Yugoslavian war. This is all the part of the Bosnian Serbian genocide. So just to gloss over that completely to make your argument while you're trying to dunk on somebody else for having fucking, holes in their commentary. And it's not like Vaush is a fucking encyclopedia, right? He gets shit wrong all the time. The other day, he was trying to roast the Center for Political Innovation, which is like a huge tanky organization that whatever. He was roasting them, which absolutely has every right to do. But the Uhuru Black nationalist movement goes up there to like stand up there, and he criticizes them by saying that their leader murdered somebody and like kept him in a basement, which absolutely did not happen. They were actually raided by the St. Louis FBI on suspicion for getting funding from Russia, but they never killed anybody. That was a completely different organization. So he constantly will just like make lapses in commentary or pull facts that aren't true or gloss over information in order to sell his audience on things and do exactly what you said, Gavin. Just confirmation bias himself. Just like find a way to get back to his preconceived decision or his viewpoint or whatever it was.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And thank you, Fruit Hill Farm, by the way, for the 1999. Keep up the stellar work. Well, thank you so much, and you keep up the stellar work too. I'm assuming that you're actually a fruit farm or whatever farm of any sort. That's awesome. We support local farmers here at the Vanguard. So thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate the kind words and the generous donation.
Yeah, thank you so much. Wonder where your Fruit Hill Farm is at. If we can find it, we'd love to visit it sometime because Gavin and I love fucking farm.
Absolutely. Thank you so much once again. And thank you, Brian, also for the $9.99. Really appreciate that. Vaush claims to be a socialist, but consistently defends the U.S. MIC, the organization primarily responsible for upholding the capitalist economic system through force. He is not a good faith actor. I mean, yeah, Brian, I'm sure you caught it, but we debated him on this. We're very familiar with the extent of his defense of the U.S. MIC and the drone war and the proxy war and all of that stuff. So, yeah, you're 100% on point. And yeah.
Yep, 100%. That's a big part of our disagreement with Vaush. And yeah, sorry, Sinisa Savic. I meant to say Baltics. I said Balkan.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, thank you so much, Brian. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much for the $4.99. Katie Halper's side piece. Really appreciate the super chat. It'd be easier to see Vaush's good faith if he didn't reflexively knee jerk towards pro NATO stances every other day. Like, dude, Kyle is not Hinkle. LOL. Yeah, that's the problem. Like, there are a lot of actors on the left, like Jackson Hinkle, that we constantly criticize for actually doing Russian propaganda, for actually just regurgitating the Kremlin state line when it comes to this conflict. That is a problem that does exist. There are tankies and it is a problem. Kyle's not one of those fucking people. Like, talking about the fact that a lot of the arms we send to a country mired in conflict, talking about the fact that a lot of those are going to end up in the black market. That is a very legitimate thing to talk about. That needs to be discussed. And to say that to discuss it is somehow feeding into Russian propaganda is just absolutely reductionist, ridiculous, and it is bad faith, especially given the fact that Vaush knows Kyle Kulinski, has talked to Kyle Kulinski, and knows that whatever criticisms aside of Kyle, that he is a good faith actor and that he's not doing fucking propaganda.
Oh, 100%. I think that there's and look, we've gotten some feedback recently where it's like, hey guys, like, disagreements about Jackson Hinkle. Why do you guys always say during them that he's a Russian propagandist? And verbatim the line that the Kremlin is giving out, like the Vladimir Putin line, talking point. This is what the state media is allowed to say in Russia. And it's just like, bro, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in somebody with their own original thoughts, right? And while Vaush's thoughts are complete bullshit on this issue, he is massively simping for the United States military industrial complex in a way that is really just outlandish. And I think I think he's trying to trigger people. I think he's trying to do that for his audience to, just be like this like crazy outlandish person to attract eyes, which is his right to do completely. But I just think it makes him look deeply unserious when he says shit like, oh, it's based that arms are getting into like only 30% of the arms we don't know where the fuck they're going. It's like, well, what the fuck, dude? Do you want to keep wasting our tax dollars to enrich the fucking military industrial complex? That's based to you now, like, just because that's like the most obvious, like, you are playing team sports kind of political commentary possible, and you're way smarter than that, man. So just get your fucking shit together, Jesus Christ. But thank you so much, Katie Halpers. Side piece. And yeah,
and again, it's like this is an issue in America too, with the NRA and all of the guns here in America. The problem is that a lot of them end up in the black market. They end up in the hands of actual criminals, people that should not have access to these firearms. That's a problem here, and it's also a problem wherever else arms are being sold, including Ukraine and Russia and wherever else we're shipping fucking weapons and lethal aid. This is something that we have to talk about. Again, even if you support the U.S.'s role in this proxy war, it still should be talked about. This is a very legitimate area of concern. But thank you so much for the $4.99. Really appreciate that. And thank you, Christina, as always, for the $4.99 too. So glad you got to the juicy drama today. We always do, Christina. We always do. That's why you tune in. We keep it coming. So thanks so much for the super chat. Glad you're enjoying the show.
Yep, they don't call us TMZ Guard for nothing. We earned that fucking name.
Absolutely. And I think that's all of our super chats right now. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. Really appreciate it. And make sure to hit that like button if you're just tuning in, or if you haven't already. We're about to introduce our special guest for today's stream. But before we do so, again, like I said, make sure to hit that like button. Really appreciate it. Helps us with the algorithm, get some more eyes on what's about to be a very important conversation with returning guest, good friend of the show, Mr. Ron Placone. How's it going, Ron?
What's up, guys? Good to see you. Hope you're
too.
well. You guys took a road trip recently, didn't you? How
We
was
did.
the road trip? Where'd you all go?
It was tight, actually. We went and saw our good homie Tyrell, and we got to interview his old man, the former governor of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura. So we went up
Nice.
to Minneapolis to chat with them. Yeah, it was a good time.
Oh man, you went to Minneapolis, man, crossing that Grain Belt Bridge. It's ironic because I'm wearing a Hold Steady T-shirt today. That's really they're a Brooklyn band by way of Minneapolis, and they sing about Minneapolis a lot. So that's why that's ironic, I guess. But that's cool, man. Was it your all's first time in Minneapolis?
I'd been once before, but not for very long. What about you, Gavin?
Yeah, I'd been in Minneapolis probably a little less than 10 years ago, but didn't get much time to explore it. So it was cool to go back. I mean, we weren't really even in Minneapolis. It was more the outskirts of Minneapolis. But still, we really enjoyed our time there. Again, I had a great time hanging out with Ty, and then interviewing the governor himself, the former governor of Minneapolis, because we're working on a documentary right now about his unprecedented third-party victory as a gubernatorial candidate. And how that could potentially be replicated, how he built this populist movement, et cetera, et cetera. So we're really excited to drop that documentary. That's why we filmed this interview in person. Super excited to release it. One of our, the first of many Vanguard documentaries coming down the pipeline. But yeah, how's it been going with you, Ron? What have you been up to?
Good, man. I haven't been to Minneapolis in a hot minute. It's one of my favorite cities, though. So I think next year it's on my it's actually on my touring agenda for next year, because I'm hoping to do the region in the United States I'm targeting next year is the Midwest, which I know is very broad, but whatever Midwest to be, Minneapolis is always on that short list because it's one of my favorite towns. I almost moved there at one point, but then the winters kind of scared me off. But how far of a drive is that from where you guys are at?
6 hours.
That's it? I would have guessed it was more than that. I guess Kansas City's further north than I realized. All right, cool. Good to know. Interesting. But yeah, no, I've been good, just kind of holding down the fort here in San Pedro.
Well, cool, man. Well, we have you on as kind of as a way of kickstarting this project that you've been thinking about. You're obviously a municipal broadband guy. I know that's an issue that's near and dear to your heart. You're kind of, dare I say, your flagship issue if you have one. So yeah, tell our audience a little bit about what you've been thinking about and what's going on that front.
Well, I've really been trying to get a lot of, YouTubers and content creators in general to really, really highlight digital rights frequently. I work alongside an organization called Fight for the Future from time to time, helping them out with some of their campaigns. And the most recent one that I'm a part of, that I'm still a part of, that you guys promoted here on the show is the Antitrust Summer. We are still amidst an antitrust summer. So I'll give an update on that first. So we were unsuccessful in getting a vote before the August recess. The big goal was to get a vote on 2 antitrust bills that are floating around in Congress right now that are very, very good bills. I know I went into detail about them on this show. I won't rehash all that. But, I encourage folks, if you weren't hip to that episode, to go to antitrustsummer.com. Basically, these bills will start breaking up. Will start to break up big tech. They're going to rein in some of the power that Amazon has as far as prioritizing their own products and services and content. And Amazon's ability to do that is why they are responsible for, I think, at this point, more than 50% of all online commerce. And when you tie that into what's going on in the world, well, look at what Amazon is doing to workers, and look at how workers are striking back, and they're trying to unionize. You look at what Chris Smalls is doing. I mean, this is a historic moment. And if we can couple that with a little bit of antitrust legislation that kind of defangs these juggernauts a little bit, well, that's going to help everything else, So digital rights connects to labor. It connects to the climate. It connects to so many other things. So we didn't get a vote before the August recess. The reason we were really wanting to get a vote before the August recess is because what's going to happen. Congress is going to come back and they're going to be like, oh, we're busy. We got midterms now. Let's just do that. We can't possibly vote on anything. But here's the thing. We were very, very freaking loud on this. And Chuck Schumer, Chuck Schumer runs the Senate. He's got to bring a vote on this thing. Chuck Schumer also has a daughter who works for Amazon as a lobbyist. He has another daughter who works for Meta. So this guy has a lot of big tech conflicts of interest. According to Amy Klobuchar and Chuck Grassley, so a Democrat and a Republican, we got the votes for this thing. So Chuck Schumer's been dragging his feet on bringing it to a vote, and he's saying, well, I don't know if we have the votes. I just don't feel like the votes are there. Well, according to Amy Klobuchar, according to Chuck Grassley, and according to 2 reports from Reuters, the votes are there. This thing's going to pass. So I think in reality, Chuck Schumer, he's kind of got some big tech conflicts of interest. But, Fight for the Future, along with some other orgs, they put some video billboards outside of his house for a while, and people have been very active on Antitrust Summer. So they're realizing, okay, the public really demands this thing. So they did say, as of right now, they're supposed to have a vote when we get back, or when they get back from the August recess. So they're supposed to have a fall vote. So please, everybody, if you haven't already, go to antitrustsummer.com, antitrustsummer.com, sign this petition. It goes right to your lawmakers. It takes like less than a minute. This would be the most historic antitrust legislation we've seen in the United States since the 1980s, when they broke up AT&T. So please, antitrustsummer.com. And here's the deal, the Congress, the Senate, they would much rather, cater to their big tech lobby donors and be like, okay, we won't piss you off. But here's the deal. You know what else they like? They like the idea of not losing their frickin' jobs. So if the public is loud and demanding this, they're going to realize, hey, we got a midterm coming up. It's going to be a good look if we pass overwhelmingly popular antitrust legislation that would be the most significant since the 1980s. We got to give the people a victory here. So antitrustsummer.com.
Yeah, totally. No, that's a great point, Ron. And I think you're right, too, about it being a piece of legislation that would be popular. Left, right, independents, everyone can get behind this. We got to end corporate supremacy. And that's what this kind of bill would help to at least start chipping away at, especially when it comes to the digital space, which has been totally gentrified by these massive corporations like Amazon, like you're talking about, which literally prioritizes its own products and the Google search engine. They're collaborating with all these other big tech conglomerates. And like you said, this isn't just a lefty issue. This is something that you'll even hear people like Josh Hawley talk about, talking about breaking up big tech and stuff like this. So there is no reason.
Josh Hawley's for this bill, by the way, just real quick. Like he's for this
Well, there
bill.
You go. It's a bipartisan consensus. And I think voters of just about any political variety would agree. I mean, I can't think of many people that want a few corporations to control everything. Even people that aren't radical socialists or fucking communists or whatever. Like, most people agree that the rise in these massive conglomerate corporations have resulted in a lot of American local businesses being destroyed. And again, this supremacy of these corporations comes at the expense of local businesses and the ability of, American entrepreneurs that are trying to live the American dream. It totally prevents that. So again, I think this is totally an issue that everyone should unite around, that everyone should be talking about and pressuring their politicians to support, because it's so rare to have an instance like this where we actually are in agreement, both sides of the aisle, as well as independents and even third-party voters, people, super radical leftists, everyone should agree to this. I think everyone can agree to this. It's so obvious, and it would be a great first step.
Yeah, I think that this is one of those things that if you frame it the correct way, it's going to be a no-brainer that even if they use their fucking massive like backwards tactic, kind of like right to work, you know what I mean? Even if like everybody knows in their heart of hearts that you have the right to collectively organize. So speaking of Josh Hawley, right, this motherfucker had the gall to run against right to work, but even though he was elected, run on right to work, excuse me. See, they even get you to fuck it up when you're talking about how much you hate it. Even with something like that, the people of Missouri being a red state, right? We vote for Republicans here, unfortunately. It is a place like it was something that they resoundingly rejected, right? Because they understood in principle, like, okay, even if I get swindled into voting for a guy who supports this, I'm not going to put my name on this. Similar to how Kansas resoundingly rejected the, what is it? The support women fucking amendment or whatever the hell they named it, because it was actually an anti-choice amendment.
Yeah.
And, we elected a bunch of fuckers that would, try and take away your right to vote right to an abortion over the years. But, so I think that there's no way for people to frame this as something unlikable, right? It's a winner. It's just a winner of an issue. And that's why it's fucking asinine to me. It kind of like pot legalization. You just look at it like it's a gimme, right? And it's like, why the fuck haven't our elected officials just picked it up and ran with it? Obviously because it's the one group of individuals who do not want this bill to pass are the single most powerful body of people in the United States, being those exact corporations and lobbyists. And they're going to fight like fucking hell if you try and break them up, but we have to. I actually just finished reading this dystopian novel by a guy named Dave Eggers called The Circle, and it was all about like what happens if one Silicon Valley company like fucking vacuums up everything. It's not good, guys. We've got to get ahead of that.
We don't want to find out for real. Let's let that stay as a fiction piece. But we're on the road to finding out for real.
Unfortunately, I think that any effort that we can to create, this would be like a serious, if the Forward Party wanted to actually do something serious, I think they might pick this as one of their key issues, right? Like, I'm serious. Like, if you're actually interested in a party that can function, exclusively on bipartisan issues, it would make sense to make this, antitrust a lead issue, right? It's like, do you think that 5 corporations should be able to massively exploit the rest of us? It's like probably a winner with everybody, right? You could couple that with, do you think you have the right to smoke pot on the weekend? Yeah, I think that's fine too. Can we give everybody health care? I think that's a winner. Let's go with it. Kind of shit. I just think that, I don't know. That would be what they were up to if they were serious. And again, nobody's seemingly taking this issue.
That Jim Acosta interview didn't sway you. You weren't blown away by.
He's getting fucking bodied on Twitter right now too for this tweet he made this morning.
What did he?
I can throw it up here. He's responding to some of the haters and said, to the folks on the left who are upset about Forward, what you should be upset about is a corporate duopoly that manipulates you and inflames you while serving virtually none of your actual desired policy goals, which is ironic because they have none. They have no fucking policy goals or platform or agenda of any sort. You will never get what you want in the system. Feel free to try. It's like, yeah, dude, we all know.
We know, Andrew. We know. I know that you've been paying attention for just 4 years now, but some of us have been at the party a long time. It's like Andrew Yang went to a Grateful Dead concert for the first time and he goes, "Hey, LSD is fun." They all know that already, buddy. I mean, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and it's also
what
it's
he's
like,
saying there isn't wrong, but
the reason why we should be upset about a corrupt duopoly is because it's fucking corrupt. Because they're being corrupted by big money, which you're refusing, which you're not, which you're refusing to refuse. You know what I'm saying? Like you're perfectly open to taking this corporate money. Your candidates are going to be mired in corporate cash and corporate PAC money. That's the problem with the duopoly is the corruption. So you can't propose a solution that has the same problem as the problem itself. It's just so ridiculous and also such a condescending tweet, as if it's just all these fucking lefties. He's always punching left now. You'll notice. Anyway, that's a whole different issue.
I mean, I feel like, looking at it as a whole, and yeah, that is a pretty cringe tweet, but I think like as a whole, what limited exposure I've had to that whole project is it seems like they're trying to appeal to everybody, and in doing so, you'll appeal to nobody. Because you have to have policies if you're going to be a political party. That's kind of how it goes. And when you make Jim Acosta look like a hard-hitting journalist, you've done screwed up. I mean, really, it's like when you make that guy. Now, to be totally fair, I will say this. I wish that same scrutiny was applied to Democrats or Republicans. I really wish. I mean, I think part of it too, like we got to just be real here. Jim Acosta was able to take his baby gloves off because it's not a member of the duopoly. So he gets to actually do a journalism for a change. So, but
that is very true.
Still a painful segment to watch.
Yeah, Jack and I were joking around a little bit about how hard Andrew Yang's probably trying to draft Liz Cheney now for the Forward Party.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I can't. Like, I just can't. I think Lee Carter had the best. Did you see Lee Carter's tweet on that?
No, I need to find it because we actually have a different Lee Carter tweet that we were going to react to a little bit later in the show. Yeah,
his tweet on Liz Cheney was it was one of those tweets. I was like, man, I wish I wrote this, and I don't know. I half jokingly, half serious once tweeted at Lee Carter, and I said that because he's also a municipal broadband guy. So I was like, Lee, we got to start Gingers for Gigabytes. It's a no-brainer. And he never got back to me. So I don't know if he just didn't see it or if he just didn't, if maybe he's not into self-deprecating humor. I don't know. I shouldn't assume.
I don't think he does a lot of interviews as far as going on other people's channel and stuff. We had him on when he was running for governor of Virginia. But before and since then, he's never responded to our, requests.
I don't know
either. So who knows? But speaking
he's
of
a busy guy, he's a dad. He's got, a lot of stuff going on.
I think he has like a farm now or some shit. Yeah. But speaking of Lee Carter, I did want to react to this too. Literally 6 hours after his spokesman announced that he would be strictly masking because his wife just tested positive, talking about Jill Biden, obviously, and Joe Biden. Biden takes off his mask to cough into his hand, signs the bill, gives the pin to Manchin, and then shakes hand with everyone in the room.
That's great.
So yeah, just watch this. Apparently Jill has been exposed to COVID. Here's Biden taking off his mask, coughing into his hand.
Perfect. Didn't even cough into his sleeve.
Nope.
Right in the hand. There we go.
There we
Signing it, shaking Joe Manchin's hand. Signing a drilling bill that's called a climate bill. You gotta love it. This is the USA. Don't you guys feel great?
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be the equivalent of adding like 70,000 passenger vehicles emissions into the U.S. based off of the drilling that they're gonna do.
There you go.
620 million acres are now vulnerable. Keep the music playing. We should play this music while saying what's actually in that fucking thing. 620 million acres vulnerable for oil drilling now because it's about the climate. $0 for public transportation. Zero. That's zero. We know that we have to get away from a car culture to save the frickin' planet, but this is the U.S. We just don't want to.
Yup. No, obviously the bill is a piece of shit. But I do think it's like if I was like over 70 years old, like literally everyone in our government, I would be fucking terrified of getting COVID. Like that shit kills old people like crazy. Like, how are you just so fucking nonchalant about this? Literally shaking every single person's hand after coughing into your hand after your wife tests positive. Like, do you not give a shit at all? Like, personally, I would be a little bit more worried if I was of that advanced age.
I think part of it is, yes, he doesn't give a shit at all. And I think part of it too is like, hey, keep in mind they have the access to the best medical care in the world. I mean, people sure don't, but they do.
Absolutely. Well, Ron, did you have any other thing you want to talk about as far as antitrust goes, where the movement goes from here, what people can maybe do to get involved, spread the word, whatever?
Best thing you can do right now, antitrustsummer.com. I will mention one other quick thing in the digital rights space. There is a bill out there right now to reinstate net neutrality at the federal level. It is a 2-page bill because that's all it needs to be. And what it does is it just designates the internet as a utility, which I think it's so obvious, especially with the past 2 years we've had. The internet is clearly a utility in our life. It has been. The way we got net neutrality in the first place was they designated the internet a Title II classification, which means it's a utility, which enabled them to get net neutrality on the books. Then when Ajit Pai came in, he reversed that. He said, no, it's a Title I classification, which means it's like a TV or a radio. Because, I mean, guys, how often do you use the internet compared to a radio? I mean, it's tomato, right? I mean, you spend almost as much time on the radio listening to Little Orphan Annie episodes from the 40s as you do on the web, right? I mean, it's basically the same resource, really. They should totally have the same classification. But it designated the internet as a Title I classification. And so this bill just says, hey, guess what? The internet's a utility, which means, net neutrality's back. So people can go to fightforthefuture.org to learn more about what's going on there. And again, antitrustsummer.com and battleforthenet.com for net neutrality specific stuff. And antitrustsummer.com, please sign. If you haven't signed already, I bet a lot of your audiences has because they probably remember the last time I was on. But if you haven't, please, it takes less than a minute. And it is so, so helpful if we make it clear to these people that, hey, it's a damn good look to pass historic antitrust legislation going into the midterms. It's going to work because they're not going to want to lose their job. So let's get a win here. We need a win so freaking bad. And this is one that's attainable. So please, it takes less than a minute. Please, antitrustsummer.com.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Ron. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Can't wait to have you back.
Yeah, thanks. Always good to be here. And I'll let people know real quick. You can find me on Twitter at Ron Placone, YouTube Ron Placone. And I got a cool show coming up in the San Pedro neighborhood in Los Angeles, September 10th at 2 p.m. I'm doing a historic interpretation of Lucian the Satirist, who was a writer from about 125 AD. So that's an afternoon show. It's free. And then I'm hopefully going to be bringing it to Renaissance Fairs in 2023. So that's a new project I have. And I'll be announcing 2023 stand-up tour dates here probably within the next month or so. So
hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, you're always up to something interesting, Ron. We appreciate your eclectic tastes and, art and all that good stuff. Really excited to see what comes of the project you were just talking about. And yeah, hopefully we can get this bill passed, man. That would be a huge win, like you said, which we desperately need right now. So yeah, thank you so much, Ron, for coming on. Obviously, you're always welcome. Looking forward to chatting again in the near future. But yeah, have a great rest of your day, bro.
All right, you guys too. Thanks. Be well. Peace.
Thanks, Ron. Yeah, and thank you also, Das Bosa Fleisch, for the $4.99 super chat. That's so American to say that's it to a 6-hour drive. Traveling through the entire German country north to south takes about 8 hours. Yeah, plus you guys have an actual decent rail system. Like you can just hop on a train and go wherever the hell you want in Europe, and it's super easy. We do not have that luxury here in the United States. I wish we did. One of my great experiences traveling abroad in Europe was just how connected everything is. You can get from one city to another in an hour because of the trains. You can go all around because of the trains. It's wonderful. Not that people, don't drive also in Europe. Obviously they do, but we just really don't have that option. And the trains that we do have, the Amtrak system, for example, is super antiquated, outdated. It smells like shit inside the train cars. The food sucks.
No Wi-Fi.
Everything about it is just very subpar. So yeah, you're definitely correct. But yeah, still 6-hour drive is nothing compared to some of the other destinations, which Zach and I will be going to and traveling to and all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, in 2 weeks, Kevin and I are about to have to do a fucking much longer drive out to another destination for another Vanguard journey, and it'll still be whatever. You know what I mean? 6 hours isn't that bad. 3 hours each behind the wheel. Spend the rest of the time fucking around. But yeah, as Gavin said, if we had a high-speed rail system, we'd be fucking in DC every other weekend. that would be amazing. And if we were as advanced as Germany, we would have that. But unfortunately, we're not. But anyway, thank you so much, Dots Post Flash. Always great to see you in the
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate that. And I think that just about concludes our show for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. All of you, really appreciate that. As always, we do like to start and end our live streams with a big old shout out to the Patreon community. So shout out to you guys for supporting the show and making what Zach and I do possible in the first place. Again, we wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. Even the documentaries we're making are basically made 100% possible by our Patreon community. So if you're interested in seeing more of that kind of content from us, please do consider supporting us. Even just a few bucks a month goes a long, long way. But yeah, thank you so much to the Vanguardians, the Super Vanguardians, and our comrade level patrons. We really appreciate you guys for supporting the show. As we've said a million times, we're 100% viewer funded, and we wouldn't be able to do the show without you, because we're not about to sit here reading off some scam fucking product and fuck you guys over by go sign up here for a link to get 50% off your first shipment of stupid garbage that's going to ship to your house every month, like every other streamer does. So we're sparing you from that. And it's all thanks to the patrons. Thank you guys so much for the support. We really appreciate it. And if you would like to have your name on the shout out screen as well, you can hit up the link in the description. It's patreon.com/the Vanguard channel. Like I said, it's in the link. It's linked in the description of all of our content. But yeah, obviously we understand if you're not able to support us financially. That is totally understandable. All we ask is that you hit that like button on the way out. Hit that like button to help us in that algorithm. But yeah, we really appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much for the support, for listening to us yammer. Hope you found some entertainment and some value in our content as always. But hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We'll be back soon.
Yeah, as we always say, we can't make the fucking show without you guys. The wheels on our van go round and round because of you all. So peace out till next time. Probably be back tomorrow, maybe in the evening time. It was a lot of fun doing a late night stream last night, or late night for the Vanguard, right? We always say it's like 7 o'clock. It's not that late. We're Midwesterners, damn it. But yeah, peace out, everybody. Take care, and we'll be back.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll be back soon.